Yo, it's episode 7 of All Things Covered with Patrick Peterson and Bryant McFadden, part of the CBS Sports Podcast Network. The name says it all. If you like what you hear, download and subscribe, and make sure you smash the 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. You can also watch us on YouTube. Just visit youtube.com/all things covered. Yo, Pat, man, what we gonna cover on this episode?
Yo, Mac, obviously we was off this week.
Yep.
But we're going to look forward to the Week 9 matchup against the Dolphins and also what happened around the league on Sunday. But plus, within 2 weeks, Mac, we got the Masters. My element.
Yes, sir.
We're going to chop it up with one of the top golfers in the world, Jon Rahm. Rahmbo. That's what they call him.
Rahmbo.
Can't wait for it, man. It should be a great show.
He's the best in the world, Craig. He's the best in the world.
Yes, and guess what, Mac? I seen it up in person. He's definitely the best in the world.
Can't wait to chat it up with Jon in a few. Make sure y'all stay tuned. Listeners, viewers, guys been following our show for 7 episodes now, so you kind of get an idea of the rundown. You know, first quarter is about chopping it up. And right now we're in the chopping it up segment of All Things Covered with Patrick Peterson and Bryant McFadden. And in this segment, we're going to go back in time. Currently, both of our universities are not doing well right now on the football field.
Ooh,
Florida State,
Lord have mercy.
they struggling. LSU, they're struggling also. But it was once upon a time, they were one of the best teams, universities, ball clubs in college football. And clearly for Pat, LSU, they just won a championship last year. So they've been to the promised land more recently than Florida State. But for us, we would like to take you guys, the listeners and the viewers, into the life of a top high school prospect. Pat, before I throw this question out to you, when you came out of high school, Blanche Ely High School, Pompano Beach, Florida, home of the Tigers.
Yes, sir.
You played cornerback. What was your
I
rating?
played everything. I didn't play corner in high school. I played everything.
I mean, you were a position. You were a football weapon, right? But when you look at the classifications and when they had you rated at and everything like that, at the cornerback position, where were you rated?
Number 1.
You were number 1. Okay.
Yeah, right where I needed to be.
Okay, you were number 1, and me, BMac, Bryant McFadden, I went right down the road, MacArthur High School, Hollywood, Florida. And when I came out, I was also the number 1 rated corner in America.
Oh, man, it runs in the family.
It runs in the family. You feel me? It runs in the family at the same position. You feel me? At the same position. Sir. So, Pat, when you came out of high school, you had the who's of who trying to land you, trying to get you to sign that letter of intent to their university. So can you fill us in on your best recruiting trip or the craziest recruiting story that you were involved in? But before you answer either question, right? Can you give us the list of your 5 visits and then answer the question?
My 5 visits were I visited North Carolina, Florida State, LSU. I only took 4 actually.
You didn't go to my. I thought you
kind of US. Nah, because I was committed to Miami. So I was down there almost every week. So I was committed to Miami, so it was no need to really go down there. They had those Nike camps down there. They had all those camps. So I knew the facility. So it was like I don't need to see that again. You know what I mean? I'm good on that. But anywho, in my 5th one, it was going to be USC, but I took my trip to USC as a junior because I went there on a Rising Star camp. It was like in late June, early July. And going to that was my best recruiting trip, although it wasn't even an official trip, like an official, recruiting trip. Yeah. But those are my 5 visits. But I'm gonna give you 2 stories. My first one is going to be my best one.
Okay.
USC. I went to USC. My first time flying. It was a Rising Star camp, and it was like a camp to where everybody comes. It's like a Nike camp. You come there. You do your testing one day, then the next day is all competing. You putting on your, you're going through the drills and all that stuff. So me being from Florida, always know the notion that Florida, East Coast and West Coast, always the argument of which football is better. Yeah. And with me probably being like the only, East Coast guy down there, me and my dad, I'll never forget, me and my dad had this long talk. We was on our Southwest flight. almost 6 hours. Never forget my first time flying. I'm terrified. So, man, my dad told me, like, man, Dad, I'm about to go up and this is my junior year going into my senior. I was like, Dad, I'm about to go up here and wreck this camp, man. Like, I'm about to really go out here and like put on, you know what I mean? So, and I got a picture I'm gonna send to you, Matt, so we can put on the show as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, go up there, wreck the camp. So I do all my competing, crush all the time, and so now they got this thing called Trojan Ball. Mind you, Matt, I'm the only one from the East Coast, so now I'm getting people like that's from pickups. Like I'm getting everybody already got their team, everybody from the West Coast, so I'm getting pretty much the leftovers. Ken Norton was my coach of my team. Kid you not, Ken Norton, and Coach Ken Norton can validate this story. I'm the only maybe we had one more, maybe two more athletes on our team, and it's 9 on 9, and you can do whatever you want with the ball.
Yeah. Man,
when I say the Pompano came out of me, Mac, and I went up there and won it all. Went up there and won it all with the team I had. They call it the granddaddy of them all. And that was the Rose Bowl. And you playing inside the Coliseum. Mac, I went up there and showed my behind, man. Man, I was playing quarterback, safety, corner. I had like 7 picks.
So that was your junior
year.
Bunch
of touchdowns.
Were you ranked in the country at that time, your junior year?
Yeah, so I believe, honestly, Matt, after that camp, that's when it was like, oh, this dude for real.
It
like,
elevated you to a whole nother status.
Right, because that camp was called Rising Stars. So, everybody was out there rating players, seeing how fast they are, their measurements. And when I went out there and went crazy, Mac, I went crazy. I put on for my city, on for my city. But my that was my best one. My craziest one, I'll probably say when I went to LSU. The thing what made it crazy was when I left LSU, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I can't see myself wearing no purple and gold as a uniform. Like that wasn't really appealing to me. And because I went on that trip when they played Auburn. That's when they beat Auburn, and Demetrius Byrd made the last second catch and that's when they started the, you can't see me. And they went on to win the championship that year. And like I said, what made it so crazy about that story is because LSU didn't recruit me until like late October, towards when it was getting close to the signing day. And when I went down to visit, I told my mom, when I left, I can't see myself, and I started thinking about it more, just like really dissecting the whole process. Because that's what young guys don't do nowadays. They don't really dissect the process. Guys want to go into a campus off of what they did or, the name of that college. You want to put yourself in the best position possible because this is a job audition for you. You ain't trying to go there. LSU is already LSU. Yeah. Miami is already Miami, but is Miami or LSU of that team that you choose going to put you in the best position to get where you're trying to go? You know what I mean? Versus worrying about, this Ohio State going to get me there. No, you still got to put the work in. Yep. You know what I mean? So it's all about, you going and solidifying yourself. But, LSU, it was going through the process, thinking about, I was like, man, you know what? LSU is the best possible position, is the best school for me because everybody was leaving the secondary. My whole goal was to go somewhere and be a trendsetter. So when LSU was one of those came down, one of the main factors came to, they never had a Jim Thorpe winner. So they never had a DB that was as decorative as I was coming into college. Now I want to be I want to compete that process. I know the model that it takes to do that. So I want to do the same old thing again. And I did that, and I created that DBU formula or that DBU atmosphere there because I set my mind up to do that. LSU put me in the best position to do that. Not saying that Florida State couldn't have done that, but they got the Deons, they got the Terrell Buckleys, they got, BMac, Camardes. LSU ain't had no Pat P.
Mickey was mad at me because you didn't go to Florida State too.
I knew he was. Hey man, that's my guys too, man. I tell Coach all the time. I say, man, why I look like you chewing on gum and you got nothing in your mouth?
Nothing in the mouth because he getting ready to spit them curse words out. Coach Andrews will cuss you out so much, man. But hey, Pat, it all worked out for you though.
No doubt about it, man. It was a blessing. I started a beautiful family with my wife. Went first round. Like I said, got the Jim Thorpe and the veterinary only 3 DBs in college history has received the Bednarik and the Jim Thorpe in the same year. Charles Woodson, me, and my boy Minka for Pittsburgh.
Patrick. Yeah. No doubt. Well, shoot. For me, Pat, my 5 visits were, my first visit was just similar to you. My first time ever getting on an airplane was to Michigan. I remember it like it was yesterday, December 3rd. So I go to Michigan. I had Michigan, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida State, Miami. Miami was the last trip for me. I think my Florida State could have been the 4th, I think. But I guess the best trip was Florida State because I signed to Florida State. Crazy trip, 2 crazy stories. Number 1, I go to Tennessee and I really was rocking with Tennessee heavy. I go to Knoxville. If you guys never been to Knoxville, it's all about Tennessee football. I mean, it's a college town. Right. They love the Vols there. So I go to Tennessee and I went by myself. So all the trips I went solo. The only trip, my folks went to was Tallahassee. Even when I was going to Miami, I went Miami by myself. I drove down the street. Like you said, it's right down the street for us. But I go to Tennessee and it's like 27 recruits there on that visit. And I was really, like I said, rocking with Tennessee, man. I was like, man, I can see myself here. But what turned me off with Tennessee is at the time, head coach Philip Fulmer, he was the head coach of the Vols at that time. And he called me to his office and he had that little one-on-one meeting with the prospects. And you know what I'm talking about. Every time a prospect goes to a visit, he get an opportunity to have a one-on-one meeting with the coach, either with his guardian, whoever came with him on that trip. I was solo. So he sat me down in his office. And mind you, I'm enjoying myself. I'm thinking he's going to have some good things to say for me. He was basically trying to put pressure on me. And that's one thing I advise recruits. Don't allow these coaches to finesse you into committing. You only commit when you're ready to do so. He said, well, McFadden, he was like, McFadden, I don't know if we're going to be able to hold a scholarship for you. So if you don't commit this weekend, we might not have a scholarship for you. So we want to know what are you going to do? And in my mind, I'm like, man, I'm one of the highest rated guys on this trip. Like, that's what I'm going through in my mind, right? My thought process is like, yo, I'm the highest rated guy on this trip. The number 1 corner in the country, one of the top DBs in the country. And you telling me you might not be able to hold a scholarship for me if I don't commit this weekend? Mind you, signing day was like 3 or 4 weeks away. So instantly I got turned off. So he tried to finesse me. I didn't fold. I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm not coming here. I landed in Tallahassee. And we all know what Tallahassee got to offer. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the moon.
No question. Now, listeners, viewers, it's time for Cardinals Check In. This past week, the Cardinals had a bye week. So we don't necessarily get a specific recap because they didn't play in a ball game. But one thing we can get insight on is what did Pat P and the rest of his teammates do during this abnormal bye week? But before we get into that, Pat, big time news dropped today. 2 positive COVID-19 tests came from the Arizona Cardinals. 1 player, Devon Kennard. Man, what are you hearing and what is the team advising you guys to do to make sure you guys are safe and to make sure that number does not increase, especially for the big ball game you guys have coming up this Sunday against Miami?
Well, just continuing just to, be smart and be mindful of your surroundings, for the most part, making sure that you're practicing the social distancing, wearing your mask. Unfortunately, that those guys attract the virus over the bye week, but that's that might be that can be a blessing in disguise for us. That more guys was not around them to bring it, to make it bigger than what it is. So the team is doing a great job. We're right now in the intensive protocol right now. So the team is doing a great job making sure that the building is heavily sanitized and making sure that we're now we're even in smaller groups when it comes to film study and working out. So they're just taking the proper steps to making sure that nobody else is in harm's way.
Yeah, and with you guys didn't play a ball game, so there's no game to discuss. So during this Cardinals check-in, we'd like to focus in on your head coach, Kliff Kingsbury. I mean, it seems like you have a real good relationship with your head coach. He's only 41 years old, extremely young. He's your fourth head coach in your professional career. Talk about the relationship you have and the relationship the entire team has with him.
Coach just get it. Coach didn't come in and try to make, like stick out his chest like this is my team, da 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 da. It's my way or the highway. Coach came in with open ears, wanting to listen to guys' input. Coach does a great job of taking care of our bodies, making sure that we're fresh as possible when it's time to hit the field on Sundays. He's truly a player's coach. He understands us, and in my opinion, I really think that him coming from college really put him in a great position to be a great head coach, in a sense of having to be, and he don't have to really do this, in this league, but having to come up from, I'm sure Coach had opportunities to coach in like high school and having the opportunity to coach up in college, but seeing that atmosphere and what give, kids or certain guys juice. And he kind of brought the atmosphere here as far as, how close knit that we are, certain things that we do as a team, how we talk to his players. Coach is one of a kind, and I'm happy to be his player, one of his players on this roster, hopefully moving forward as well. But Coach just get it, man, and he's a guy that's willing to do whatever for his players to make sure that we're successful.
Speaking of one of a kind, he also has a one of a kind house. And if you guys didn't get a chance to see the video during the virtual draft from this past April, I mean, Coach Kliff Kingsbury was doing the draft from his living room, and he had the fireplace lit. And I was like, I know Arizona is not cold right now, but that was just a part of the, the image he was trying to display. Have you been to the crib yet, Pat? Has Coach invited you to the crib yet?
Nah, I mean, I have been invited to the crib, but with two girls and a crazy schedule, it's kind of tough to for our schedules to match up, especially in the evenings times. But I did see the crib on that same photo that you guys saw. And I text Coach. I say, man, you're living large, man. You're living large, Cletus. And he got the nice view of Hammerback Mountain, no doubt about it, and deservedly so. The future is bright for this Arizona Cardinals team, Cardinals organization with Kliff Kingsbury for sure.
Yeah, talking about bright futures. Every year, the trade deadline surfaces. This Tuesday, the trade deadline will be here. We're starting to see some players, move already. Some teams are trying to, just clear space and get ready for the future. Some teams are trying to make moves to solidify a potential playoff push. What's the mood like that day? When you talk about having the trade deadline on your off day, and usually that's in the off day for most teams outside of the two teams that are playing on Thursday night. What's the vibe like for most players who may be a bit uncertain if they will stay in place or if they will have a new team?
It's kind of uncertain to kind of really feel what the vibe is, because guys kind of know who's on the bubble or who's kind of like you hear things so. The vibe, kind of trying to figure out the vibe before trade deadline, because that's obviously something that's out of your hands. So it's kind of like, you not in the limbo. It's kind of like you just kind of go on your normal day. But when you're a guy like I was, or like how guys are this year that start getting traded from bad teams onto contenders, they are in the point of their career to where they're trying to win, and losing sucks. Don't get me wrong, losing sucks, and I just want to get an understanding on how it's not okay for a player to ask for a trade, but it's okay for GMs to trade players. That don't make any sense for me. Fans and audience get upset when a player wants a trade. Why? When we're at the same dispense as this GM. Everybody, as most GM will say, everybody is tradable. So if a player is asked for a trade, why I got to get crucified, or why the player has to get crucified off asking for a trade.
Mm-hmm.
But anywho, it's kind of hard to gauge, especially with this team that we have right now, on what the mood is like as far as trade deadline. But when you're on a bad team, you kind of know. Obviously, people talk. As always, you're in the locker room and things get brought up in the atmosphere, and so. But with this team right here, the mood is great, man. We're 5-2 in a great position. We just came off a great win and looking forward to see how good we can finish within this 9-week season.
Yeah. And usually, Pat, you got to look at teams that are usually extremely aggressive during trade deadline. They're probably a team that's trying to search for who they are as a ball club, or they're just trying to rattle the fence a little bit, shake things up. You don't usually see big teams, good teams making moves unless injuries provide that opportunity. And you guys have been fairly healthy. And like you said, you're number 2 in your division, arguably one of the toughest divisions in the National Football League. And you clearly have your eyes set on the playoffs. So, just got to dodge the injury bug and keep chopping wood. And with that being said, chopping wood, let's look ahead. Your week 9 matchup against the Miami Dolphins. Now, Miami, they've been playing some real good football as of late. They already traveled out west to take care of the San Francisco 49ers. At that time, they had a different quarterback in the lineup, Ryan Fitzpatrick. This past week, they played against another NFC West opponent in the Los Angeles Rams. They defeated the Rams 28-17 with Tua Tagovailoa's debut as the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. He didn't really do a lot, Pat. 12 of 22, 93 yards and a touchdown. But heck, he didn't have to do a lot. I mean, what they did was dominate in the other phases of the ball game, special teams and defensively. The Rams outgained the Dolphins 471 to 145 in yards. The Dolphins scored defensively, special team wise, and heck, almost another defensive touchdown. The guy got tackled on the 1 yard line, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. It's a small sample size of Tua Tagovailoa. But what are your thoughts about him as a player? He played in the SEC, had a lot of success. You haven't really seen a lot of him, in a NFL uniform. But what are your expectations from him and offensively from the Miami Dolphins?
Honestly, it's hard to gauge on what they're going to do, because evidently we weren't able to see much of them last week. If you look at the stat sheet, you'd be like, how the heck the Rams lost this game, having 400 plus offensive yards, 31 plus first downs. The list goes on, but then when you look at the turnover margin and you look at what special teams did, that's how they end up losing that game. But he's a gamer. I think you've seen it. You have seen it time and time and time again when he was on the college level, and those were big stages. The only thing that's changed now is just that he's in the NFL, the biggest stage, and he's performed on the biggest stage when he was in college. I believe one of the most impressive things that I've ever seen from a college performer or college athlete in the game was to come down in that what it was, the championship game, right? The championship game down 10 points, I believe, something like that, going into halftime. Maybe worse. I can't recall what it was, but coming into that game, didn't have any reps, probably didn't even have any thoughts of playing in this game. And to come in that game and do what he did, that just goes to show the kid is a gamer. And but to say what can I expect from it or what can we expect, it's hard to tell, man. It's hard to tell. They didn't do much. Yeah.
Well, I got a question for you, Pat. A few weeks ago when you guys were playing against Andy Dalton, I know you stated that you guys wanted to force him to beat you. And you felt like if you guys did that defensively, you would have success. With Tua being a young quarterback, do you have the same thought process in attacking their offense, forcing the young fella to beat you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Mac, you played in this game. With young quarterbacks, what their offense coordinators are going to do is try to take the ball out of their hands, which means run, bootleg screens, give him easy read, quick games, RPOs, trying to get him in a rhythm. So if we stop that run and get those guys behind the sticks early, win first down, make it more predictable football, then that's when you get in a phase of forcing Tua to beat you, because now you're taking the run game away, because now you're winning first downs. And now teams, as offenses don't like being behind the stick. So if you win first down, evidently you can't run to get 2 more yards and make it, 3rd and 9. Now you want to try to get a quick game in there or something quick or out of the quarterback's hands or a boot to make it more 3rd down and manageable. So our goal is definitely to win 1st down, take the ball out of the running back's hands, and force Tua to beat us as well.
Now it's time for Around the League in the National Football League. A lot of big-time stories occurred over the weekend, and one of the biggest stories from this past Sunday's ball game was it involved the Chicago Bears and New Orleans Saints. The Bears wide receiver Javon Wims sucker punches Saints DB Chauncey Gardner-Johnson maybe 2 or 3 times out of nowhere. We've seen some issues between wide receivers and DBs in the past, but what occurred this past Sunday in Chicago is something that no one expected to see. Pat, what would your reaction be as a DB if you saw one of your fellow DBs get punched in the face while he has a helmet on, by the way, out of nowhere? What would your reaction be?
Hey, man, you know what? When I first saw the first clip, I was like, damn, like they got some real beef going on. Like, what the heck happened? Then you go back and watch, I think like 2 plays previously, CJ literally almost like intentionally put his finger in
Miller's face.
Yeah, and Miller's face mask almost poking his eye out. So I'm like, that was uncalled for. So at the end of the day, Javon had his receivers back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as a DB, though, I got to go have my brothers back because obviously I don't know what's going on. Because obviously you in the heat of the moment, you don't know what happened previously, what went on, prior to that play. So I'll be just like Jackrabbit because Jackrabbit was right there in front of him like, hey, these boys serious. I got to go in there and protect my brother. You know what I mean? And if it was me, hell, I was getting suspended too, man. I'm being right there with Javon. I would have got 2 games too.
So Tom Pelissero on Twitter tweeted out #Bears wide receiver Javon Wims told team officials that Saints cornerback CJ Gardner-Johnson spit on him, in addition to ripping out his mouthpiece during Sunday's game before he sucker punched Gardner-Johnson per sources. Now, hearing that, now we don't know exactly how true that is or not, but just hearing that,
right.
Do you look at that incident differently from Wims if he's claiming Gardner-Johnson spit on him?
That's disrespectful. I would have did the same. Hey, I'm coming from both ends. Yeah. That's disrespectful, man. You can't spit on another man and not expect nothing to happen, if he's a man.
So this is my question, right? When you look at the highlight and we saw these two interact before that play when Gardner-Johnson pulled out Wims' mouthpiece from his helmet. So the next play, the play was going the opposite direction. He jumps in Gardner's face, and it was like, when did he spit on him? Is my question. Like, which play did that occur? If it actually happened, because that's the gray area for me. Is like, did he spit on you when he pulled your mouthpiece from your face mask? And if so, I don't think you can hold that reaction, because number one, you're not expecting someone to spit on you. So if he spit on you when he pulled your mouthpiece, Pat, you waited a whole play to react. Like, that doesn't, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if that is true, I mean, you definitely can't do that. You can't spit on me.
If he spit in my face, number one, I'm not waiting to play, Pat, for me to react if someone spit in my face. I'm reacting.
Yeah, right then and there. Obviously, right then and there, it got to go down.
Yeah, and I'm not. You're not.
I know in a football game, and I know what I mean to the team. But bro, my instinct's gonna kick in, and I'm a man first. You know what I mean? I'm a man first, and a dude comes spitting in my face. That is one of the most ultimate disrespect signs in the world.
Yeah, you can't.
So that just can't happen. I
mean, I guess we got to wait and see exactly what comes, what more comes from that story. But if that happened, I'm okay with Wims doing what he did. Now, if he didn't get spit on, you can't do that. You got to act like a professional. Right. In other news throughout the National Football League, let's go up to the North, AFC North. The Steelers.
Shout out to Mike Tomlin.
Improved to 7-0, and I know exactly what the secret is for Pittsburgh. Granted, they're playing good football, Pat, but you got to really think about what happened weeks ago. We had 2 Steeler members on our show. We had Juju Smith-Schuster and we had Mike Tomlin. And all I'm saying is maybe some good luck coming from all things covered, because outside of those guys, guess who else we had on? Tyrann Mathieu, right?
Oh, yeah.
The Chiefs,
They
only
ball.
one loss. You know what I mean? D-Hop, the Cardinals, 5-2. Every individual we basically had on that's associated with the NFL team, they're in playoff contention right now. They're winning. So you guys might need to pay attention to that. But right now, the Steelers are 7-0. Mike Tomlin made big-time news outside of, becoming, still remaining as an undefeated team. He's now the winningest black head coach in NFL history, surpassing Tony Dungy. Man, that's a big-time achievement. Do you believe right now, currently, they're the best team in the NFL? The Steelers, that is.
Oh, man, as of right now, besides us, yeah, they are. Because, the thing I love about Pittsburgh, man, they can win in so many different ways. And that's a beautiful thing, to be able to win in so many ways. They can win the gritty way. They can blow you out. They can win those games to where they have to come back. Mm-hmm. They can win those games to where, the defense have to make a play. Just in that game right there, when at the tail end of that game, defense had to come up with a stop. And that's typical Pittsburgh formula. Like you said, what it takes. What it comes down to. And for, I can't remember the player name, but for number 97 is Hayward. 96, I believe. He was a nose tackle.
Yeah.
Nah, this guy, he was a nose tackle. It wasn't Hayward, though. Man, it was the last play of the game. It was 4th and 2. Bugs. That's what it was. It was Bugs. Yeah. 4th and 2. And the way he played the hat in hands and was able to shed the block and make a tackle on one of the most elusive quarterbacks to ever play the game, and Lamar Jackson, and to get him down for that pivotal moment in that game. But like I said, that's a typical Pittsburgh win. And I didn't know this, coming down to it, how great that rivalry is, that the points up into that matchup, I can't remember how many matches that they had, the points were dead even on how many points each team scored. That's crazy to me.
That's an identical ball game. Both teams resemble each other, to the T. It's a physical. When we play the Ravens, Pat, usually some guys might miss that workout. You know what I mean? Like if you work out Monday, you might not work out on Tuesday on your off day. When we play the Ravens, we work out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh yeah, and you might get your quick little workout Saturday before you go to the airport or before you go home, because it's going to
got to be warm up.
It's a bathroom fight. It's one of those middle school bathroom fights. You know what I'm saying? Yep, so exactly. It's going to be a brawl. You know what I mean? And you want to be the last man standing. So that's the type of that's the mindset. And I think one of the most impressive things about Coach T is that he's never experienced a losing season. In 14 years of coaching in the National Football League, this man has never experienced a losing season. That's impressive. That's impressive. And right now, he's one game away from accomplishing that feat, and I think he will. They have the Dallas Cowboys coming up this week. Shout out to all the Cowboys fans. But the Steelers going to keep chopping wood. Yeah. And outside of the Steelers in the AFC North, the team they just defeated in the Baltimore Ravens, they made big news last week in signing a guy you've matched up with quite a few times in your career, in Dez Bryant, to the Ravens practice squad. When you look at Dez Bryant's career and where he is now currently, do you believe there's a good opportunity for him to be able to help the Ravens offense, when it comes to pass catchers and being able to help become another reliable target for quarterback Lamar Jackson?
I believe so. Dez Bryant is a dog, man. When he's healthy, and he's his mind is in the right place and his mind is on the game, he's one of the best out there. I mean, and we've seen that in his first 6 years of his career. The last two, unfortunately, fighting through injuries, tearing his Achilles in New Orleans, being cut from Dallas. So he had to go through some trials and tribulations. But I think that Dez has found himself. I follow Dez. And we text every now and then, but seeing him continue standing in that grind, because you see most guys that's out right now, they ain't working. They just hoping and on the couch waiting on the phone call. Dez is out there grinding and showing that he's ready. And that's what I love about Dez. He's, like I said, he's a dog, and he's a guy that wants to do whatever it takes to help his team win ball games. And those are the type of guys that's undeniable. And he's passionate, and he loves to win. And, how can you deny a guy that loves to win? So Dez is a great addition to that receiver core that can win those 50-50 balls downfield versus Lamar just throwing those shots to Brown. Now he can be a little bit more comfortable or putting those 50-50 balls up with a bigger body, with a more physical receiver out there on the outside the numbers. So I'm excited to see Dez back in the league. I'm happy for him. I can't wait to see what's going to happen, and I can't wait to see that first X. I'm happy we don't play the Ravens first. I mean, play the Ravens this year.
Hey, speaking of a team you've played and you will play again in your division, the Seattle Seahawks took care of their business against the San Francisco 49ers. They still remain atop the NFC West. But, I know there have been a lot of naysayers, referring to you and saying you fell off. You're not the same, Pat P, and you're not the lockdown guy. But I watched the San Francisco 49ers ball game with Seattle, and that grown man from Seattle. Yeah, huh?
Who was covering him? Who was covering him?
I don't know, but I know that grown man in Seattle went all the way off. DK Metcalf, 12 receptions, 161, 2 touchdowns. I don't know who was covering him or who was trying, but clearly didn't have an answer. And maybe they needed to have a guy who's fallen off, right, to try to cover him, because the last time we saw DK, that's the only game this year he was under 90 yards. And that was against the guy who fell off in Pat P, 1 reception for 6 yards. So I know a lot of people have been coming at you saying you fell off a little bit, but I don't know how you can fall off when you've been able to do what you've been doing against one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League in DK Metcalf. So I guess continue to fall off, huh, Pat?
Hey, man, I'm washed up, man. Only thing that's washed up is my beard. That's the only thing I got grays in it, man.
Ain't no gray in the game when you get in the bag.
Nah, no doubt about it, man. I feel great in this point in my career. DK Metcalf is a great player, but like we alluded to last week, those are the type of receivers I love to guard. Those bigger physical receivers and
the number ones
and DK, those number ones and DK. It's nothing but respect between him and I. And I know that when I play him next time, within 3 weeks, I know he's going to be geared up and ready to go. And because I got to be geared up and ready to go, because that's the next task I got on hand. And I got to be even more ready to go, because the last 2 times we played, out of 71 coverages, I think he only received the ball twice, so now I have to be even on more high alert when we play Seattle's Thursday night in a couple weeks. But I'm washed up, man. That's what they say, man. Just check the numbers. I'm washed up, man. I'm washed up, man. Yeah. That's what they say.
Well, keep using the same word.
Shout out to my ops.
You say the ops, huh?
Man.
No doubt.
Shout out to my ops. Hey, man, you know what's crazy though? I just found out what the heck ops was about 2 months ago.
Really? Hey,
yeah, because I always thought they were saying no, because when I was hearing the song, I thought they were saying shout out to my cops. So I'm like, shout out to my cops.
Haters.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. That's so then I forgot what song came out. It was either Travis Scott or 21 Savage. And so he kind of said ops and explained it. I was like, oh, idiot.
Now, cops. No, it's ops.
I was like, cops? No, man, we don't do that.
Well, listeners, viewers, it's halftime for us. All things covered. Patrick Peterson, Brian McFadden. We're going to take a quick break, get into the locker room, make a few adjustments. But when you come back in the second half, we got a special guest joining us here on All Things Covered. Jon Rahm will be here with us in the show. One of the best golfers in the world. Stay tuned.
Rahmbo.
Welcome back. We're back from halftime. All things covered. Patrick Peterson, Bryant McFadden. Instead of leaving the locker room and jumping right back on the gridiron, we decided to switch it up for you guys a little bit. Remember, earlier in the show, we told you guys we have a very, very special guest joining us here. All things covered. We cover everything. We talk about entertainment. We talk about football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is. And today, guess what? We're going to talk golf. One of the best golfers in the world, actually number 2 in the world. Arizona State alum. You look at what he's been able to do throughout his professional career. He just recently won the BMW Championship in August. One of the best golfers in the world, like I said, number 2 in the world, Jon Rahm, nicknamed Rahmbo. Thank you for joining us here on All Things Covered, man. You're making history before the Masters kick off. You're actually our first golfer on our show. So, man, it's a pleasure having you on the show as you get ready for the Masters.
Oh, my pleasure to be here. I didn't know the first one, so I'm excited. I know Patrick likes his golf, so I'm excited to see what kind of questions I get on this one.
That's awesome, man. So we're gonna jump right into it. How strange does it feel knowing that you're preparing for the Masters in November, knowing around this time of the year you normally will be in my neck of the woods in Albany, but now you going to a Masters in Augusta in November. How strange is it this year for you?
It's different, but I think it's different because we're all really thankful to be able to play the Masters.
Right.
At one point during the year, it looked like it was not going to happen. Augusta closes after April, so we didn't know if it was possible to do it. And getting ready for it, I think it's just more to contain the excitement than anything else. I actually came back Saturday. We're Tuesday right now. Came back from Augusta Saturday, practiced a little bit, and it's going to be the same. Maybe a little colder, maybe a little rainier. We don't know. But at the end of the day, it's Augusta National. For people that don't know, they can control grass like nobody else can. So I think just containing the excitement and the wanting to play and get it going.
What makes Augusta so special though? Because every golfer always talk about Augusta is the main tournament that I want to prepare for. Is it the jacket, the course? Like, what is it?
I think it's the history. It's the only major championship that's played on the same golf course every single year. And I think the history that comes with, right? I mean, that golf course was created by the greatest amateur of all time, Bobby Jones, the greatest golf designer of all time, Alistair McKenzie. And, it's just some of the greatest moments of the history of the sport that have happened here. And its uniqueness, right? It's hard to explain. It's for other sports terms, it's the Wimbledon of golf, right? It's the same thing. It's the tradition, the history, I really can't explain it, besides tradition and history.
Special.
Yeah, for every golfer is the one thing you watch every year. I've seen every shot ever played at Augusta. It's just, the familiarity with it.
Gotcha.
Speaking of the Masters, John, who do you believe is your biggest rival, for the Masters? What name will you be following or paying attention to on the leaderboard?
Oh, man, it's hard to tell, because that tournament fits so many players. It fits so many different playing styles. That's where you get such diverse winners, and every year is a different one. I would say because of the game we play, it's myself. I'm my biggest ally, my biggest rival, and the one to keep in check, right? So it's me, myself, and I. Now, there's a lot of people playing really good golf. Obviously, it would be foolish to not say Patrick Cantlay, who just won a couple of weeks ago. Jordan Spieth, who hasn't played his best golf. It's always somebody to take into account. Possibly Tiger, Phil, Justin Thomas, anybody out there in the world, Rory McIlroy. There's so many options. Anybody shows up and it's just, one good week and they can take it. Hopefully it's me.
Right. Well, I'm definitely picking you to win it, Rahmbo. You're my choice to win the Masters this year. But we talked about your previous win and at the BMW Championship. You hit a 66 foot putt to win that championship over Dustin Johnson. I text you right after that putt and congratulating you. But describe the emotions after draining that putt.
Oh, well, if somebody's seen the reaction, that says it all, right? It's a bit of just hard to believe that it happened, right?
Right.
I played probably best 36 holes of golf I played that weekend in my life. I went from playing terribly the first 2 days to completely switching it and making up a big deficit in those 36 holes. And, I actually thought I had the tournament won. I didn't expect Dustin to make birdie on 18. He made a crazy putt. We go on the playoff, and I make an even crazier one. It's almost, it felt like to be on the playoffs. Yeah, it exactly felt like making, just getting a Hail Mary in the last second of a play, just second of the game to possibly make it into the next round of the playoffs, because it was
Right.
the week before Atlanta and coming in second seed. So it was an important putt besides just winning.
Right.
Tough to explain, man. The emotion that comes out of that, because again, it takes so long for the ball to get to the hole.
Right.
10 seconds for that ball to roll all the way there. I can't explain it. My reaction, it's probably similar to Kawhi Leonard's, I think it was in the conference finals.
Right.
Last
Against
year,
the 76ers.
that shot just bounces 3 times around the hoop. It's
Right.
very similar feel to those, right? Except I don't have my teammates hugging me because it's just me and my caddy. And
Right.
Dustin still had a putt to tie. So,
Right.
at the same time, it's weird because I'm happy, but I need to stay in it just in case he makes it again. So,
Right.
it was weird.
So when you standing over that putt, like, you have to make, and obviously with you being a pro, every putt is important. Did you have that feeling or that urge knowing that you was going to make that putt?
Dude, I was trying to keep it inside 6 feet. Not gonna lie. It was such a hard putt, and getting it to the hole wasn't the problem because it was all downhill. It was giving myself the best chance to possibly extend the playoff. That's where my mind was at. It's like, well, it's what I can do. And, luckily I hit it on the right line and it caught the hole. But you can see, it's funny because when I see the putt, it goes through all the spots that I kind of see the ball going through, right? It goes to the top of the slope, goes to the apex, starts going down. And at one point I freeze because I'm like, no way in hell.
They got a shot.
No way. And it does go in. It's crazy. But my original mindset is, let's see if I can get it close enough so I don't have to stress to make the next putt.
Right. Yeah. Man, that's amazing.
Yo, Jon, so in 2019 Masters, you finished T9, just 3 strokes off the lead. But as a fan of the game, what was it like to see Tiger capture that green jacket?
Huge. Because, when I came as a pro, Tiger hasn't been the Tiger that we've all known, right? He's had injuries. He hasn't been able to play his best. And I'm in the same field as him playing tournaments, but it's tough to not see him contend. And I was lucky enough to be present when he won at Eastlake, which is his first win in many years. And to be able to be there and feel the atmosphere as soon as Tiger took the lead on that 15th hole, because I was at the golf course still, and you can feel goosebumps. The electricity going around is crazy. And, not going to get into the debate of who's the best and who's not the best and who's the GOAT or not. In my opinion, Tiger has played the best golf anybody's ever seen for 10 years, right? And for him to come back and win a major 11 years after his last one, after all the back surgeries, all the problems, all the people that counted him out, said he was done, it was never going to happen again, and get it done, with all the people that were contending that day, because you had Brooks come in, you had Dustin, you had Xander, a lot of people that were putting pressure on him. And see that 16th hole, that shot he hit where it almost makes hole in one, makes that birdie, 2-shot lead. It's crazy, right? And I think the most beautiful part out of all is to see the images, right? Tiger won his first Masters in 97 when he was 20 or 21, and he's hugging his dad. And he's come full circle when he finishes. He's won his 5th green jacket, and his kids, who are 11 and 13, I believe, are right there to see him win, right? So, you see the circle of life go through, and his dad wasn't there, but now he's the dad as a champion. It was a pretty cool moment for golf.
Do you think he has a chance to defend that 2019 Masters title this year?
Of course. Augusta is the one. Augusta, I would say, is the one golf course that he's going to have the best chance year in and year out.
Right. I agree.
Length is not an issue, right? He's such a good iron player and such a good creative short game player that any given year he can win. I mean, like I said, some of the names I've mentioned, Tony Finau, Brooks, and Dustin hit it way further than he did last year, but length isn't everything at Augusta National. So it's the one major I think he should be confident he can win it. Now, we don't know how he is physically, how his back is going to hold up and how he hasn't been able to play as much golf as I think he would like. So we'll see. But I mean, I believe he has a chance, and I hope I deny that chance.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Jon, I have the pleasure to have known you almost 3 years now, and being able to play at Whisper Rock and Silverleaf and see the grind that you put in. Tell the fans a little bit, how did you go from a late commitment to Arizona State to #1 in the world in 7 years?
How much time do we have? Real quick.
We got all the time you need, Jon. All the time you need.
Well, my story is crazy, right? I mean, I'm coming from Spain. I grew up in a town with 1,200 people. It's a miracle that I play golf, really. And as I was going up in the ranks, my dad did tell me, if you want to study and get your degree, your best chance is to go to the U.S. And that seemed like such a far-fetched dream to me. Now, once I made up my mind of possibly going, I had no idea how the recruiting process worked. I had no clue that coaches weren't allowed to speak to athletes and players. So, because that seems so backwards in my mind, right? I mean, all I've seen, as a young player was different sport coaches and different sports being, people being contacted to be able to play for different teams and whatnot. So I was just waiting for somebody to talk to me, honestly. And the only reason why I got in contact with a coach is I was playing a tournament representing Spain as a team. It's called the European Boys Championship, the under 18. Each country in Europe brings 6 of the best players, and we play in this qualifying section. And I saw a guy with a San Francisco shirt on, and the only reason I knew San Francisco in a little bit, because besides the movies, is because my grandma had just been to San Francisco that summer. So I strike up a conversation, which happened to be the head coach of University of San Francisco. I started a conversation, which apparently is legal. I have no idea. And he follows me, and I finished 600 on the last 10 holes. And then I go on to win every single match for Spain, and we win the championship. Shortly after I had a scholarship, right? So that was a reality. Now then Arizona State came in with a very, very late offer, and I think it was in May where I got offered, and I had to be in school in August, and I had no idea. The only thing I knew about Arizona State is there was a good Spanish history there. There's 2 girls that are on the LPGA, 2 girls that won nationals there, and then 1 Spanish man that actually won nationals for Arizona State, whose name is Alejandro Cañizares, played really good golf. So I was like, you know what? It's good weather, good golf, good history. Might as well go. And that was the only reason why I decided. And my dad put me on a plane, never did an official visit, never been to the States. My English was very different to what it is right now. And I arrived at Arizona State. Like I said, I came from a town of 1,200 people, and I go to a university that has 70,000 students.
Right.
Hey, so Jon, is there any truth? You talked about, your English wasn't very, very good, but is there any truth to the story that you actually learned English listening to rap music?
Listen, I didn't learn English like that. It really helped understand certain things. The thing that helped me the most was being able to accelerate my thought process and be able to keep up with the conversation. And it was kind of like a verbal exercise, to be able to keep up and get my speed better and pronunciation and things like that. I didn't learn grammar because not in that sense, but I did learn a lot of slang in that sense and understand a lot about the US, which helped out a lot just in day-to-day basis, right? So
who were you listening to? What rappers?
100% of the time was Kendrick Lamar. And still
100%.
He like Kendrick.
So
okay.
Come for Kenny, right? So the only reason why I got into it is one of my teammates basically knew every single lyric to every song of Kendrick, Lil Wayne, and many other great artists. and he could wrap it at speed and everything, no matter the speed. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And I really just focused, got the lyrics of my first song I ever learned was Backstreet Freestyle by Kendrick. And I really just got down, I'm like, I'm gonna learn this. And I memorized the whole thing, understood absolutely nothing, but I was able to memorize and actually sing it at speed. And that kind of became a fun thing to do, to be able to sing it with my teammates. And it was shortly after I started understanding. But that's why it helped me pick up speed. And the main two, it's Kendrick and Eminem.
Nice.
That's the main two. But I listen to everything, obviously. Right now, recently, I've gotten extremely into Polo G.
Oh yeah, Polo G.
Hey, Pat, can we put Jon on the spot right quick? Jon, I know you handle pressure extremely well, but can you rap us your favorite Kendrick verse?
He said Backstreet Freestyle.
I want to hear you rap it.
When it starts, I'm rolling dough with a good grind.
I
run a hoe with a pretend, that's a really raise with a bouquet. They say, so that whole part, I had no clue what was going on. Like the whole, rolling dough with a good grind. I was like, what is this? What does that mean? First time I read it, I was like, okay, what the heck is this going on? To me, it was just a bunch of words that made no sense.
Right.
Which, to understand the aspect of all things right now, it's pretty crazy.
Right.
No question.
Hey,
that's
Jon,
dope.
You quite get criticized all the time about the emotions that you show on the golf course, which I love. But where do that come from? Like, where does that fire come from?
It's the only sport where getting mad is a problem, apparently. Every other sport, you're passionate. In golf, you have anger issues. Where it comes from, I think it's just competitiveness. Competitiveness, just the willingness to win, want to win, and the not expecting but demanding the best out of myself. So that's what it comes from, and that competitive grind. That's all what it comes from. I mean, love for the game, passion for the game, and the love of winning. It's the whole thing combined. That miss a shot or something bad happens. I mean, I truly get upset at myself, but it's competitive anger, the best way I can call it, right? I mean, it's just the one thing to win.
No question. We love that. And also too, Pat, when he's bumping that Kendrick Lamar, it's kind of hard to be cool, calm on the course when you're bumping that Kendrick Lamar like Jon is bumping. So
I have a playlist. I don't know if you can see if I'll be able to.
What's on your playlist? Let us see what's on the playlist.
I have a warm-up playlist.
Okay.
Where it's called, it's pre-round. It's basically if you start seeing the first all the first songs.
Oh yeah.
You don't get into all the artists until very far down, So Crack a Bottle. That's the first one that's not actually no, it's Not Afraid by Eminem.
Man, this is great stuff, man. Jon has actually showed us his playlist. So there's a good chance that playlist is what you're going to be listening to at the Masters. That's going to be
practice range.
On the practice range. 100%. Yeah.
Oh, so before every round, I have my headphones on, and I always start putting.
Yep.
And I start with it, and sometimes I used to have an order, not anymore. But lately I've started with Patiently Waiting, by Eminem and 50 Cent.
Yep.
Right.
The Watch Popping remix. Start with that, and then just let the playlist go on with whatever it wants. That's just the songs that I like. I've been doing it since college. It's something that it's crazy enough. I was doing it, just without thinking about it, really, just trying to get hyped before a round. A lot of times we had to play 36 holes, and we woke up so early that kind of had to wake up, and just stuck with me. At one point I stopped doing it, and I found myself not being on the intensity I needed on the first tee. So this helps.
Yeah, me and Pat had a discussion about music with our careers, and clearly I'm retired, but Pat talked about some of the things he listens to before he goes out to battle, and I love hearing that from you, because golf is not a physical sport, but you attack the game like it's a physical sport, emotionally when it comes to the physical standpoint, and I really enjoy watching you go off and do your thing too. So give us a little bit, some of that aggression when you get out there in the Masters in Augusta. Give us a little, when we see that, we know, you giving us a shout out here on All Things Covered.
See, the funny thing is, Pat's met me many times. I'm so different off the golf course. Like I'm not an angry person, right? I'm still 25. I'm a joyful kid. That's the best way I can explain it. It says when you're in competitive mode, when you just, flip a switch. When it's time to get it done, it's time to get it done. Besides that, you got to enjoy life. And that's a mistake a lot of people make, is judging us, especially athletes, I'm going to say, for what we do on the court, on the field, or on the golf course. And assume we're the same off of it.
Well, last question for you, Jon, before we jump into the superlative part of our show. Golf is largely known for having an older, predominantly white audience. And when you look at where the game is going, how would you elevate where the sport is with accepting diversity and actively promoting it?
Yeah, I think it all depends on the countries. I think golf has the stigma, especially in Spain too, of being a higher end sport, right? Especially because in Europe, the people that used to play were basically wealthier people that were in, let's say, higher class society wise. And if you weren't fit to play, you weren't allowed to play, right? And in our case, we had Sevi, who completely changed the whole thing. And slowly you get more and more chances to play, right? Now, I don't know about the US. I think accessibility is the word I would use. I grew up going to a range. And when I say a range, it's a range. There's 200 yards and a fake putting green, and that's it. And it's a field with just flags on it that it was €2. So just $2 to get in. And then you just pay for your balls, right? So essentially it was cheaper than any other place, any country club or any golf course to join and just play and learn how to play. So I think in the US, that would be the main thing, right? I don't know of many places, especially here in Phoenix, that it's easy to just go and maybe try the game, right? I think up here in North Scottsdale, you have Cracker Jack, and that's about it. Besides that, it's a golf course you need to join, and it's just tough to get into it. And so, I think that would be the best way. Just have an easier path for people who join, especially, financially, right? It's somewhere where you can just go and maybe pay an entry fee and just practice as long as you want for no time limit. Plus, I don't know if, golf is not culturally or socially accepting. I think we are. It just depends where you grew up and who you're around, right? I spoke with Larry Fitzgerald about this once, why he didn't play golf before, because his dad did. And he just told me that, from a young age, you know how to run, jump, catch, and throw. So it's easier to get into basketball, football, or other sports like that. It's just hard to pick up a golf club and absolutely suck at it because we all do it first.
Yeah. All right, we're going to transition now to the superlative part of our show. And this is where we hit you with rapid fire questions. You give us your honest, unbiased answer. This should be easy for you. Favorite hole at the Masters?
11.
Best Halloween costume you ever worn?
I've only dressed up for Halloween once.
Actually, oh, really?
Yeah, you don't do it in Spain. Well, one of them, I was a CSI agent, and then the last time I ever dressed up, I was just, I dressed up as a baby, basically.
As a baby?
Yeah. I think I saw that. Yeah, I think I saw that. Huh? Was that surfing on the web?
For sure, somewhere. My friends probably.
Yeah, I think I saw that one. I think I saw
100%.
We got to find that picture. Yep. Yeah.
Hey, it's Arizona. It was hot. It kind of worked out.
It worked out. Best nickname on tour?
Oh, God, no. I'm gonna go ahead and say Rahmbo.
Rahmbo,
for sure.
Okay.
Rahmbo for sure. Biggest performance on tour?
Mine this year or anybody's?
Yeah, yours.
Ooh, mine. I gotta say.
Your first one?
On the PGA Tour, it's got to be Torrey Pines. That back nine was.
Oh yeah, that was the one you made a long putt to win it on that one too.
Yep.
Right? Oh yeah, that was I agree. That was a great performance.
Yeah, I like the 60-footers to win tournaments apparently.
And also that was a great breaking through tournament for you as well.
Yeah. Best celeb athlete golfer?
Ooh, that I've played with?
Yes.
Well, I know.
That you played with, that personally, however, but they have some real good game on the course. Best athlete, celeb, golfer.
Well, that I've played, Patrick Peterson.
Okay. My guy.
Uh-huh.
Most likely song that you will rap in a karaoke.
Never been to karaoke before. I don't know. That's tough. I know this is rapid fire, but that's a hard one to answer. Karaoke rap song, probably.
Element. Fear.
Honestly,
Poetic Justice.
No, it's King Kunta. I really enjoy that one to rap.
King Kunta. Okay. I got you.
Okay. And real quick, Pat, I want to throw one in there.
Okay.
Jon, since you've been on the course with my guy Pat P, could you give us a breakdown of his game, strength, weaknesses, things like that? Fill us in on what Pat P game is like on the course.
So
I just threw that in there, Jon. So I just hit you with a curve. I just threw a curveball.
No, this is easy. So Pat is one of those players that has so much speed. I mean, being, position you're playing football, you're just strong, fast, athletic. So you have a lot of speed for the amount of golf that you play, right? So sometimes it's hard to control. For people that don't know, he has, on an average swing speed, he has more speed than I do. Now, what he needs to learn how to control would be the shorter yardages, right? It's easy to hit a full swing and hit it full out and hit it consistently good. As those shots inside 130 yards, what you have to control. That's where you that one needs to improve. Everything else is good. I mean, he's a heck of a player for being a full-time football player, right? So the day he retires, I'm gonna take a guess and say his golf game is going to improve a lot.
For sure. Well, Jon, we appreciate you coming on. We know you got Masters prep to get back to. Man, thank you again for coming on. We appreciate you, Jon. And we'll see you in Augusta here pretty soon, brother.
My pleasure. Hey man, next time we're doing this, if you're gonna want me to rap, let me know so I can pick a part that I'm not going to any word that's insensitive or any F words or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah, I got you.
Jon, we'll give you a heads up. And if you want to do multiple songs, I'm pretty sure the viewers and the listeners would be okay with that. So we appreciate you giving us what you gave us. But if you want to be well prepared, we make sure and you know what, Jon, I'm letting you know this right now because I tend to gamble a little bit on professional sports, and I'm going to ride with you as well. So when the Masters take off next week, I'm gonna put something on the line, and if I do happen to win, when I come out to AZ, I got you some nice wine and some nice dinner.
Perfect, got it.
And for him and his beautiful bride, Kelly.
No question. No question.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much.
I appreciate it, Jon. Best of luck to you.
Jon, take care, baby.
Pat, I know you know Jon extremely well, but did you get a chance to learn anything from our chat with him? I know I did.
Let me see. Like you said, I've known Jon for quite some time now. The thing I did learn, I didn't know Jon learned English, freaking listening to rap, and I did not know K. Dot was his favorite artist.
Yeah,
I thought that, and for him to give us a couple bars, I thought that was really intriguing.
And he had a pretty, extensive playlist too, right? Yeah. And I think that's something that you have to really appreciate about his golf game is because he attacks the game of golf like it was a physical sport. Most times, and you've been on the course, more than I have, but a lot of people probably don't listen to, music that's going to get you going and riled up, what I mean, before you go tee off and do things on the course. But he says that's something he needs for him to go out and be successful. So, when he wins that when he puts on that green jacket, you know what I mean? You guys got an insight on what it takes for him to be able to win something like the Masters. And you got that here on All Things Covered, because I don't think that's ever been broadcast about his playlist, favorite rapper, the prep. I mean, that's what we deliver here on All Things Covered. We cover everything. Of course, my guy Pat P, from the literal standpoint, he covers everything. So that was great insight from Jon, and he also gave some insight about your game. You know what I mean? He gave you some tribute.
Yeah, and I know, and like you said, I don't play the game enough to really work on that control aspect of my game because it's always, I don't have much time to practice on my game. So, and that's where you really score, is when you within that 30 yards within the pin, because you have to have the right ball flight. You have to know what type of shot you want to hit so the ball can check up. You might want to hit a pitch shot. You want to hit a full shot. So many so much comes into that 130-yard shot versus a shot from 180. That's just a normal full shot. You know what I mean? With that 130, you got to be a little bit more precise. But like he said, once I'm done, oh man, I'm all on it. Like that's all I'm gonna be doing every single day is working on my golf game. Because I'm definitely gonna win Tahoe one year. I don't know when it's gonna be, but I'm definitely gonna win my.
That's the goal. That's the goal right there. Winning Tahoe.
Oh yeah, and once I put my mind to it, Matt,
go get it.
I gotta achieve it.
You gotta go get it. No question.
Well, we want to thank you for listening to our 7th episode of All Things Covered. If you like what you hear, make sure you go and subscribe and follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We will have a bonus episode for you on Thursday with Joy Taylor. That should be exciting.
Yeah.
Peace.